Thanks for joining the snapshot for today, the Feast of the Epiphany. We are not having a celebration of the Epiphany at Dr. Martin Luther Church today, except for a little one with the confirmation class when they meet at 5:30. We'll go up and gather around the manger scene upstairs at the back of the church, and we'll read some Epiphany readings. Epiphany is one of the oldest celebrations in the Christian church. You won't believe this, but Epiphany, well, I hope you believe it. Epiphany was celebrated almost 200 years before Christmas began to be celebrated. First was an Easter celebration, second Pentecost, then Epiphany. The earliest record of a celebration of the Epiphany is in the second century, late second century in Egypt. It's called in the Eastern Church, we're talking here about the Greek Orthodox Church, Russian Orthodox, Serbian Orthodox, and so forth. It's called the Feast of the Incarnation, and it's threefold. In that church, celebrated today, they'll remember the visit of the Magi, commemorating their following the star over Bethlehem, the baptism of Jesus, and thirdly, Jesus' first miracle at the wedding in Cana. Some Protestant churches call it the manifestation of Christ to the Gentiles rather than the Feast of the Epiphany. And you can understand why it's called the manifestation of Christ to the Gentiles, because the first visitors were the wise men, also called the Magi, and they are typically characterized as being three in number, although that number isn't mentioned in the Gospel of Matthew, but they're pictured as three because of the gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Now, the gold is traditionally brought by a wise man or king called Melchior, who's pictured as a 60-year-old white guy. And the frankincense is traditionally pictured as being brought by a 40-year-old Asian man named Balthazar. And a 20-year-old black man named Casper brings along the myrrh. And these three races, white guy, Asian guy, black guy, are to be representative of all Gentiles and all the peoples in the world. So I love the Feast of the Epiphany because it excludes no one, and it says we are all included. The first wise men would be people who had trouble getting, would have had trouble getting through a TSA checkpoint because they were not like everybody else going through the screeners. So I love this theme today for Epiphany. What do you do to celebrate Epiphany? Let me suggest to you, that you go to YouTube and you find a recording of "This Is My Box," a song sung by the King Casper in a mall and the night visitors. It's just very clever, winsome, wonderful, as Casper sings about the jewels he is bringing to present to the baby Jesus. It's, of course, a recording composer, an opera composed by Giancarlo Minetti. 2 or 3 minutes, you'll enjoy it. Let's conclude with these words, and I guess you know what hymn I'm going to sing or speak. We three kings of Orient are, bearing gifts we traverse afar, field and fountain, moor and mountain, following yonder star. O star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. If you'd like a very esoteric remembrance on Epiphany Sunday, you can find a poem by T.S. Eliot. I think it's called The Journey of the Wise Men or The Journey of the Magi. And it's some of it's kind of dark, but it's also very interesting. I think you might enjoy reading it if you like poetry and literarily, and if you are inclined to literature. I can't speak this morning. I better get up to Economowoc. Bye-bye.